Tech Transforms explores how technology is reshaping our world, particularly at the intersection of government, innovation, and human needs. In each episode, I talk with some of the most influential voices in technology, uncovering how they're leveraging innovation to solve complex challenges and improve the way we live. This episode is sponsored by OWL Cyber Defense, leaders in secure data transfer solutions for critical networks. Welcome to Tech Transforms. I'm your host, Carolyn Ford. Today, we are diving into a hot button topic that's making waves across the defense world. The federal government's new push to go COTS first or justify GOTS in 60 days. So COTS, commercial off-the-shelf solutions versus government off-the-shelf solutions. And here to help us unpack what that means on the ground is Dom Perez. He's CTO at Curtiss-Wright Defense Solutions. From award-winning tactical mesh systems to rugged Cisco-powered switches, Dom's work is proof that innovation and policy can move in sync. Dom, welcome to Tech Transforms.
Hey, Carolyn, thanks for having me.
All right, let's jump straight into it. So the White House recently dropped, and by recently it was like, I think the end of March, beginning of April, an executive order. There was a 60-day mandate requiring agencies to justify GOTS use versus COTS or risk losing funding. Let's just talk about that mandate and what you think about it, what you've seen happen. Have agencies complied? Like, what's going on? Because we're well past 60 days.
Yeah, I think it was mid-April. We're 2.5 months out there, so we're clearly past the 60-day mandate. Although there's nothing so flexible as a government deadline, right? How many times did we push back Real ID? But I think it's one of those executive orders that it's really hard to argue that the government shouldn't be evaluating commercial options that might be better, might be less expensive, might have lower maintenance costs overall. But to take it across such a wide swath in such a short period of time, it's really put the programs and the acquisition officers in almost an impossible position. And it's also counter to a lot of the activities that I see going in and around the DoD. And we have to look at what the executive order says. And it's not just GOTS, which is in of itself not a really rigorously defined term, but it's all about custom products, customized products, and it doesn't really delineate very well. And I think there's a lot of instances where there is a fine line. I've certainly seen GOTS products. I know you work in cross-domain. There are a number of cross-domain GOTS products. And the biggest complaint I hear from people on those is, yes, they are free, but when I look at the total lifecycle cost, it's certainly in the ballpark, if not exceeding what it is to use a COTS product. And then you have things that we do that are COTS products, which are great. We also have a great, what we call MCOTS program, modified COTS. And this is actually really a sweet spot, I think. We've got something, it's 95% of what you want. You need to tweak and add another interface. You need to change the color of it because you want it to reflect the color of the network that it's going to be connected to. And for a very low cost, we can do that and get the program just what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the kind of broad brush of what this executive order outlines doesn't really allow for that without extensive justification. And then it's pretty unclear on what the level of justification needed is. They're required to provide the market research that they've done. Clearly, the executive order is only being 2 to 3 pages, doesn't lay out what that is. It calls out to 3 different flow downs that are each, hundreds of pages combined with all the other flow downs that an acquisition has to look at. It's really put people in a hard spot, even though they probably do want to do the right thing.
So I've been focused on government for about 15 years now. And when I started in the public sector space, it seemed like there was a lot more tension between industry and government than there is now. I feel like, and I don't know if you find this true too, that there's a lot more partnering and like wanting to partner between industry and government. Have you felt that shift at Curtiss-Wright?
Yeah, I think it's and maybe it's something that goes in cycles. There's a lot of talk about government industry or government industry academic partnerships these days.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is really interesting. If you look back historically, you jump back 50 years and you look at the R&D investment that we had as a country, and something like 70% of all R&D in this country was either funded by or tied to the DoD.
Mm.
And if we jump back, just a couple of years and we look, that's down to like 20%. So it's a different approach. You are seeing this transition to, bespoke government products to more of a commercial first aspect. We have great enterprise companies pursuing their products and having the government make use of them. And that I think is beneficial for everyone. It's kind of interesting because, you jump back 50 years and like the coolest, most high-tech thing on the planet was military technology. And I don't think that's the case these days. They certainly have their niches, right? But it's hard to say that the newest radar processing system is more technology advanced than the newest iPhone or Samsung or what have you. The investment that's been made in technology through the microchip revolution into this new, the web age and now the AI age, through industry is setting the pace.
Mm-hmm.
And having government leverage that makes a lot of sense. But they do have unique needs that aren't necessarily going to be addressed by enterprise. One of the things I've been saying for years is leveraging COTS solutions is predicated on the idea that they are solving the problems that the government is going to have, and they're motivated to solve them. And when you look at a commercial technology company, pick any one of them that primarily sells to enterprise, to consumers, but also sells to the government. The government sales is generally like 10-ish% of their business. Certainly significant, but not enough to really drive the product direction. So I think we do need to, yes, absolutely use COTS where appropriate. Curtiss-Wright, Packstar that they acquired where I came from, we put a lot of our own R&D money into building this product that we think is going to be useful for defense,
right?
But then allowing tweaks.
When you're building these products, how much is the government involved? Like, are you going to them and getting their requirements so you can build it to be what they need? Is it a tight partnership?
It's a dance, really.
Yeah.
Certainly we work very, very closely with our customer base, with our prospective customer base, generally years in advance of their procurement. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, they're usually very open about, I'm not even going to say what the requirements are, what their concepts are, what they would like to do, what they would like to achieve. And we can talk bounce back and forth. Here's where we think we're going. Here's where you think you're going. These look like these align very well. And as a commercial company, we can sample, talk to the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, our allied partners. Everyone's got a little bit different. And we kind of blend those requirements into a product that we think is going to fit as many of those needs as possible. Mm-hmm. And then when you get a little bit closer, hey, we're procurement's in a year, we're actually going to do an RFI, they go silent. That's part of the acquisition process. They can't, because we're a non-traditional defense contractor. We're not doing, for the most part, things to spec. We're building a product that we think aligns with the spec, and they're going to evaluate it and determine if it meets the spec. And I think it works pretty well. It seems a little convoluted, but I think it works pretty well. And I think it's a great value for the government. And it's a good deal for Curtiss-Wright because we're making a speculative investment. And there's some risk there, but with risk, there is opportunity for greater reward. When you look at a traditional defense contractor and cost plus and all the cost overruns that end up, coming back to the government and ultimately the taxpayer, it does feel like a pretty clunky way of doing things. I think we're on a good middle ground, but it's definitely a challenge. It would be great if I could just call up the customer and say, hey, what are exactly the requirements going to be? But when they actually zero in on them, I don't necessarily get that opportunity.
Yeah. And I mean, I know at Owl Cyber Defense, which is where I work, we have a lot of retired military that have lived this and know what's needed. And so, this is the world they live in, and not just retired military, but former public sector employees. So they do know what the real use cases are. So just to maybe, I don't know if we can close the loop on this mandate. I mean, honestly, my first thought when I heard it, well, I won't say my first thought, but I thought this probably seems, at least, like this is a good thing for commercial companies. Like this is a leg up for them, because now government's being forced to buy commercial product. And I don't know if that's true. Like you said, it's confusing. There aren't clear guidelines of what that even means to justify your GOTS product versus COTS. And so would you say that really what this has done is just cause more chaos? Or like, have you seen anything good come out of it?
I don't necessarily think so yet. And again, and I liken this to many executive orders. The Biden cybersecurity one from a handful of years ago. Case in point, nothing wrong with it, but if you really look at the text of it, 90% or more of it was already covered by regulations. And by throwing an executive order on top, it kind of just lit the fuse, and everyone went and had to kind of do a scramble to try and meet this. Where really, if they were looking at the regulations and legislation that was put in place over years and decades before and aligning with that, it wouldn't have even been needed. And if I look at this, most of it is calling back to existing acquisition requirements. They're already supposed to be doing this, looking for commercial solutions that exist before going to a custom solution. But it's hard. No one can know about everything, and a lot of these things, what are you going to do? Google, I need this kind of hammer. Famously, the $800 hammer,
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yeah, right. We know all those stories. So like I'm all for it too. And why reinvent when a better solution exists? And there's the argument even in defense that people don't even stay in these jobs, as they move. And so you've got somebody working on a project for 18 months and then they move on, and you got to retrain somebody. I mean, that's probably exaggerating and me stereotyping, but this is what this is how my brain translates it.
No, come on. We know it's 2 years, not 18 months. But yes, they move around frequently. But I remember something a couple of years ago. We watch the SIBRs and stuff that come out. We're too big to qualify for them now, but we often have partners that I like to point to them. And there was one that I looked at, and I'm like, that requirement is a product that we already build almost to a T. And it's actually one of the few products, like I said, we're primarily COTS. Occasionally we will do something to government requirements. This was something that the government had already paid us to co-develop. And then another group within the DoD was funding a SIBR to build almost the identical product. And, I didn't make a big stink about it, but I emailed the people that were soliciting responses, and I'm like, hey, you guys, you need to take a look at this. You're required to take a look at this. Go do it. And, they came back and said, oh, our snowflake is a different color of white. It is not exactly the same.
Well, you got to save face.
You get down to people, right? So this is someone's baby. That SIBR is someone's baby.
Yeah.
And they went through a lot of work to set it up, and they don't want someone to come in and kind of pull the plug.
We've already done it, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but to your
like
point,
in industry, there's the not invented here syndrome, right?
Yeah. And to your point, you can't know about everything. Like, that's one of the reasons why it's important that we do like this podcast, is
Yeah.
just to try to get the word out. So I want to shift gears slightly. It's still in the same vein.
Sure.
You led development on a commercial solutions for classified CSfC compliant mesh command post. First of all, what is a compliant mesh command post?
So I don't know how closely your audience follows things, but CSfC, Commercial Solutions for Classified, NSA program, a little bit adjacent to the cross-domain solutions. But what that does is it takes commercial products, your Cisco's, Arubas, Junipers, Palo Alto, commercial cybersecurity products, and puts them in a layered solution along with a whole bunch of monitoring and other lockdown requirements. And you can actually create network access to secret and even top secret networks. So we started working in CSfC basically at the birth of the program about 10 years ago. And we looked at what some of the groups were doing, and they were taking real commercial product, 19-inch rack gear, stacking it up. I've got a server, I've got a big router, I've got a big switch, boom, I've got 600 pounds of stuff to provide a secure wireless bubble. And we looked at that and we go, well, that could support like 5,000 users. And you're pushing it out to the field to serve 100, 200 users. We've got this great commercial solution using embedded Cisco, using embedded x86 compute. And so many of those products were just becoming virtualized at that point. So, flashback 10 years ago, it was not that common to have a virtual firewall, a virtual router, other virtual security appliances. Everything was very appliance based. So we worked with our partners at Cisco, Aruba, and Palo Alto and put together basically what looked like compliant, right? We hit the top level bullets, and then we went to some potential customers, some of the customers that had these larger systems, and went and say, hey, what are your throughput requirements? What are your customer support requirements? Can we come in and prove to you that you can do this at a much smaller size, weight, and power? And the Army was the first one to say, yes, let's do it. We actually all flew down to California. We did this testing, and turns out the virtual appliance performed exactly like the hardware appliance. They said, yes, we really want to look at this, without directing us to do things. They kind of said, if there was a solution here that met all the requirements, we would absolutely look at it for a program. So we made the investment with our partners because there is a lot of certification. It's not quite as bad as what you got to do in CDS. It's not a lab-based assessment, but it is still, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to certify products through common criteria. And then a lot of configuration testing, stinging, and all of that stuff. So we developed this product, and it's been successfully fielded with the Army for, going on 7 years now, and many hundreds.
Do they use it in the field because you were able to bring the size, weight, power down to where they could actually, it's mobile? Was that the idea?
Absolutely. The kit looks like one of our carbon fiber carry-on size cases, and then another Pelican case with some laptops and access points in it. They can roll it out into the field. They have it mounted in comms vehicles. They can, that's kind of the Gen 1 product. At the quick halt, they fire it up, and as quick as the servers boot, they can have a secure wireless bubble rather than running miles and miles of Ethernet cabling. So that worked out really, really well. And then as we saw the situation in Ukraine develop and really coming around what modern warfare looks like, the fixed forward operating base is really a concept of the past, especially, near the front lines. Everything now needs to be mobile. So we were challenged, and this was through an OTA that the Army issued to make it not just a wireless bubble, but a meshing wireless bubble. And on the surface, that really wasn't hard because wireless meshing has come along so far. But the real challenge is it has to work and support all of the legacy applications that they have.
Oh, wow.
So you've got we'll just say a very, very important application that was written and probably the source code is lost or whatever. And it was never really meant to work across a wide area network. It has to make everything look like a local layer 2 network.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that with 2 layers of VPNs and meshing topology required a great deal of work in investment from our part and from our partners to pull that off. So that's a product, a solution that we have available today. And, it's a commercial product. It provides a capability that really isn't even achievable with GOTS.
Mm.
And I'm not going to say it's the right solution everywhere. The GOTS alternative is a type 1 encryptor. If you're just doing a point-to-point tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
type 1 might be the easiest thing to do. But when you look at the total lifecycle cost for using one of those, and the fact that it's ComSec gear, it needs to be, secured and it needs to be attended to at all times, those costs ramp up and it doesn't scale out very well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the CSfC solutions, there's probably more that goes into fielding the initial solution. But once you're there, it's just cookie cutter, go buy more COTS stuff. And the long-term cost of ownership is better.
Well, I just got an image in my mind as you were talking about how you built the solution. I don't know if the CSfC world, if you guys will appreciate this analogy, but it sounds like you MacGyvered what you had rather than trying to start from scratch, which to me is smart. Like you already had really what you needed. You needed to just figure out how to make it work for the exact challenge. Is that fair, or am I?
No, I think it is fair. One of so our VP of hardware engineering joined us a couple years ago. He's actually college roommates with our former VP of hardware engineering, who retired early because he wanted to go enjoy life. And so Terry has this analogy that he's like, there are 3 phases to product development. There's magic, there's art, and there's science.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say MacGyver, that's his kind of magic bucket, right? Like you take what's there, you sprinkle a little engineering magic into it, and you make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the art is, so that's the onesie twosies. And then the art is, hey, you can take these engineers, and it's almost like an artisanal IT product, right? There's a handful of people that can do it well, and they understand it, and that's the art. We can, build these beautiful systems. And then there's the science. When we need to scale this up to hundreds or thousands, and you get into, AS9100 and all these development processes that ensure consistent outputs and, ensure quality and you're doing things right. But I think making effective solutions, doing them quickly, doing them cost effectively, it does require a little bit of each. It does require that first MacGyver. Many of Packstar products, got their birth in my garage or in our workshop at Packstar, where me and one of the mechanical engineers were in there over the weekend, milling out a heat sink so that we can fit new components into it. And oh, hey, the customer demo is on Wednesday. Let's cross our fingers and make sure that we can get this out there, because you can do everything. You can do everything in PowerPoint and renderings, but until the first one's there and meeting first contact with the customer, you're not going to get all the feedback. It harkens back to that fail fast, right? What can we show? What can we get out there? What can, take the licks and the punches, come back, and then make the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 product even more reliable, better, more cost effective. It's a good model. It's what I love to do.
Yeah. And it sounds like developing things in the government, just moving anything in the government can be, Sisyphus pushing that boulder up the hill. But what you did, and CSfC, maybe even in general, really accelerates that development time, and you can get the solutions that they need in the field, that they need in defense faster while you guys are partnering together, obviously. But it sounds like CSfC has accelerated deployment and even simplified compliance. I know there's still a ton of compliance, and to your point, expensive, but is it less than what they would do if they were developing at ground up in government, if it were a GOTS product?
I think it is. I think it is less. And for the taxpayer, that burden and risk is pushed to industry. As the industry portion, I'm like, sometimes it's unpleasant to have to pay for those certification costs, because my competitors are probably running down the same path. So we got to get there faster. We got to get there better. We got to get there easier to use. But that's all on our own investment. So the government really reaps the benefits. And I think CSfC, there's some great advocates for CSfC, and there's some other people that dismiss it. But there are certain use cases that are enabled through the CSfC program that just aren't achievable with GOTS. When we look at our secure wireless command post, you're going to have 100 laptops connecting wirelessly back to the base station. Doing that for CSfC, the cost delta between doing it for 10 laptops and doing it for 100 is just the cost of the laptops, essentially. If we're doing that with Type 1, or inline encryptors, APs, whatever we're calling them these days, I got to buy 100 of those. And if I want to go from 10 to 100, I got to find 90 more of them. I got to manage them. I got to acquire them. Those are expensive. And most of those are developed through government funding, certified through government funding. So it's really not achievable, right? You're taking a 3-pound laptop and then a 2-pound crypto device. It doesn't make a lot of sense. There's also remote work use cases, right? We saw during COVID, CSfC take off because with CSfC, we can extend those networks to remote locations, remote offices, even people's homes. There's people like to say, oh, you can do it in a coffee shop. You can't really do it in a coffee shop. You don't want to be looking at secret documents out in the open. But you can do it in private, secure locations that are not in government-owned facilities.
Right.
To do that another way, you'd have to be giving this ComSec equipment to each one of those people. They don't all have a safe at home that they can keep that in when they're not attending to it. It's really not feasible. So not only do you achieve cost savings, you get more rapid development, more current cybersecurity, and you enable functionality that you couldn't enable otherwise. So I think it's a shining star for COTS over GOTS.
So I was writing down the tangible improvements that you've seen, with COTS over GOTS, CSfC. So I got rapid development. It's cheaper generally. What else did you say?
Well, along with rapid development, you get security updates more frequently. These commercial products are on the public front lines. So you're getting the benefits of all the CVEs and security research that is going into these products. And then you're enabling use cases, architectures that just aren't achievable or practical through the Type 1, the current GOTS means.
Give me an example of that.
That's like that wireless thing, right?
Okay.
Do I just take 100 laptops, or do I have to take 100 laptops and 100 encryption devices?
Right.
That's just not practical. With CSfC, they can do that. Right? It's 200 laptops, not a big deal. Throw up a couple more access points, and you can add a couple hundred more laptops.
So you're saying the CSfC, it eliminated the need for every laptop to also be paired with a crypto device.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
I'm getting it. I'm starting to get it. I still don't get, though. You said that they needed to go from a wireless bubble to a wireless mesh. I don't understand the difference.
Yeah. Okay. So a wireless bubble. Think about your house. Your house is like a wireless bubble, right? Your internet comes in, you blast it out. Everything that's within that bubble can get access to the internet. In this case, getting access to the secret and top secret networks. And then when you look at the mesh, it's not a house anymore. It's a vehicle. So I've got one vehicle with a bubble. I've got another vehicle. It may or may not have the internet WAN access, the zipper access, but they can mesh together.
These different points
mesh.
They're connected.
And I can have multiple exit points.
Yep.
Or if those exit points are denied, I can use the mesh to reach whatever exit point remains.
Got it. Okay. I'm with you now. All right. It's time for our tech talk questions. That is such a tongue twister for me every time. I should have named them something else. But anyway, so these are a little more on the fun side, rapid fire, lighthearted, maybe a little sci-fi. Really no pressure. Just go with your gut here.
All right.
The first one, we're celebrating our 100th Tech Transforms episode this summer. So we're asking this question to all of my guests. What is the weirdest piece of tech you've ever seen in the defense world? And you get a bonus if it's something that just sounded ridiculous, but it actually worked and we use it.
Oh gosh, the weirdest. I don't know about weirdest. But the question just made me flash back to I don't know, over a decade ago. I was in Germany. I think I was at Kaiserslautern, and we were showing off the current gen PacStar equipment at the time, and we went over to one of the units, and we're talking, and there's one of the guys he's definitely a techie in the corner, and he's half nodding, half kind of grumbling, and we get through our pitch, which is what it was, and he's like, well, we've already got this solved, and I'm like, oh, well, great. What are you using? Thinking he's using one of our competitors' products or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, we got it solved. It was really easy, really inexpensive. I'm like, well, can you got diagrams? He's like, come over to this other room. I'll show it to you. So we walk, just in the next room, and he grabs a Tupperware, not a Tupperware container, like a Rubbermaid tote. And he pops it open. And in this Rubbermaid tote, there is a Linksys router, a Linksys telephone adapter, like a Walmart telephone, and just piled on top of it is all these Ethernet cables and power bricks and stuff. And I just had to laugh because.
And the security it was covered with scorpions, so nobody could get into it.
Exactly. Like. It was one of the, it did work, but clearly it's a fragile solution, both mechanically fragile, but fragile because what's the documentation? What are all these cables? Not scalable,
and it's massive, like this big Rubbermaid.
Yeah. So yes, he got the job done, as I see over and over. The folks on the front lines are going to do what it takes to get the job done.
Yes.
But the better that the programs can support them and get them close, the better off we all are. So there's just a funny story that your question made me harken back to.
Well, and good for him. He MacGyvered. And then, you guys could have, I hope he let you guys take him to the next level and into the modern world. But
Yes. Well, it was probably his 2 years were up, and he probably transferred out. I don't. This was at least a decade ago.
Okay, there you go.
But that's the other thing. When they do MacGyver their own solutions, as soon as the person who did the MacGyvering leaves,
then
they're often in a world of hurt. Yeah.
Right. Nobody can make the thing run. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, next tech talk question. What's one piece of tactical tech trivia that most folks in your world wouldn't believe, or let's say the Pentagon wouldn't believe?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The Pentagon is gigantic. There's certainly people that are very well read up and knowledgeable. I don't want to paint anyone in a bad light. But I think it would either be, the cloud isn't always going to be available, no matter how good field comms gets. No
Shut your mouth, Dom. That's scary.
Pace plan. I know you might not be able to get on Instagram or whatever. I think a close second would be that CPU core count is not a good proxy for performance. I see this in requirements a lot. You shall have 16, 32, 64 cores without a reference to architecture, without a reference to clock speed, and without an actual end use case established. And really, when we look at the tactical edge, we're trying to balance the size, weight, and power. Yes, we can give you more resources, but that's going to take more power. With more power becomes, more batteries, more generators, more fuel, more things. So we talked about government industry partnership. The more they can tell us what they want to do with this equipment, the better we can tailor that and make sure it's right sized. And getting away from this, really, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 90s, there was this whole megahertz race. Intel had dancing bunnies and slugs and in their ad campaign, and then we flipped over to the 2000s where they couldn't push that any further, and we started doing more cores, and then cores became the proxy for performance. And now today, with the different architectures, with ARM and with x86 and with GPUs and FPGAs, just looking at cores is not a good proxy. You need to look at what you're trying to do with them. So I think that's the message that I would like more people to think about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Last one. If your career in defense tech were a movie, what would it be called?
Oh, geez. It'd probably be a really boring movie. But, you know, we talked a little bit about MacGyvering, and, I don't know that my career would be, I wouldn't be James Bond. I would be Q, right?
Yeah.
The person in the back that is building the cool tech that helps the people on the front lines get their job done. How did you guys make this so small? Oh my God, this is literally taking a huge load off our backs. Hey, this is with CSfC. This is enabling capability that we couldn't really do before. So I don't even know that I would choose to be the star in my own movie, but certainly playing that supporting role, both for the people that use it and then also for my engineering teams. What I take a lot of satisfaction in is helping them get those products over the finish line, taking things from concepts, things that we know how to do, things that we don't know how to do, figuring out either ourselves how to do the things we don't know how to do or finding the right partners to complete it. So really being that enabler piece, that little guy in the back lab that doles out the new cool toys. That's kind of the movie that I would be in.
Okay, I would watch that movie, and I asked you at the very beginning, I'm like, have you seen the new Mission Impossibles? And I'm not recommending or not recommend. Well, yes, I am, because they're fun. They kind of do that. So Luther and Benji, they're kind of the Q characters, and they play lead character. They're my favorite because they're the ones that figure out the tech and make it work. They're awesome. I would watch a James Bond movie that's like totally focused on Q.
There we go.
We can have James be the supporting role and Q's the real star. Dom Perez. We could just name it that.
I have not watched the newest Mission Impossibles. I probably should go and watch them. I watched the first couple, of course, because they were fun and entertaining, and it was one of those. Well, it's just more of the same, right? But
it is.
But I guess it's a spectacle,
totally
and it's entertainment, and it's a diversion, and it's like I said,
right.
Probably great thing to watch on an airplane.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cutting past the time.
Yeah. All right. For listeners navigating the COTS versus GOTS transition, and I don't even know if transition is the right word, but whatever this business is that's going on, especially in our mission critical settings, what's one action item that they can take right now to align with this new mandate?
Well, I think it is, looking into what type of market research is expected to be done by their program and by their budgeting authority, understanding what that is. And then maybe as industry, we need to do something to help them find the products. There's not a whole lot of standardization around terms. We even talk about this internally at Curtiss-Wright, because we build, the Packstar modules. We build Parvis modules that are IP67 sealed. They've got compute, and then we've got a whole VPX line, SOSA aligned, that are card-based products. And we debate over what's an embedded computer and what's not an embedded computer. And of course, the people that build the cards are like, that's the only thing that's an embedded computer. Your stuff's a complete box. It's not embedded. But the point of the matter is, when that person is going to look for commercial alternatives, what terms are they even going to be coming up with? Is it rugged server? They might get rack mount stuff. Is it edge server? They might get, Soho stuff. Is it embedded server? Yeah, they're going to get boards, but they're probably going to get our stuff as well. So as industry, we could probably do a better job of helping them do that research. And certainly as the government, they should be giving them more training and more clarity on what the expectation of what that research is.
All right. Well, I think then the action they can take like today is contact you, follow you.
Yeah.
Where can they follow you?
Really the best place to follow me is on LinkedIn. You can search for me, Dominic Perez. It's just LinkedIn/n/Dominic Perez, all lowercase, if you want to do it the hard way. Also, Curtiss-Wright Defense Solutions on LinkedIn. We'll post our product announcements, let you know what trade shows will be at and the like. And then if anyone's really motivated, they can, of course, go on the Curtiss-Wright Defense webpage and join the mailing list. And we don't spam them too much, just one or so a week.
Perfect.
Letting them know about new developments, both product and also we do a lot of educational things, white papers, understanding what AI is at the edge, understanding what, the MOSA mandate was kind of the last thing that we kind of help customers walk. MOSA mandate.
What is that?
MOSA, Modular Open Systems Approach.
Okay.
So there is both a memo signed by the Tri-Services, and it's been codified into title. I can't remember which one, but it says that for all new system designs, they need to, like I said, like this COTS thing, evaluate the modular solutions that are available before doing a proprietary solution.
Okay.
And underneath this mandate, there's a whole another set of certifications, CMOS and SOSA, and they picked up a whole bunch of other things like Mora and FACE, and it's just this huge web that is really difficult for the acquisition people to navigate. So we published a series of white papers on understanding what the mandate means, understanding what all of these certification bodies are, and where to look. We're doing that for AI at the edge. Maybe we should also look at doing this specifically for this GOTS versus COTS conundrum that they've been placed in. So I think that's really good if people are motivated about learning more. Following us on LinkedIn is great. Signing up for the mailing list. I think there's a lot of informative content that we put out through that.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dom.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
And thank you, listeners, for joining us. Smash that like button, share this episode, and stay curious, stay secure, and keep imagining the future. Step into the mission and take part of it home. Meet the author of Operation Skipjack at the Owl Evolution Summit, October 24th, 2025, and get your own signed copy. Reserve your spot now at owlcyberdefense.com/summit. Thanks for joining us on Tech Transforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and talk about it with a friend. I'm Carolyn Ford, and this is Tech Transforms.